I didn't include and won't include unless there is special request for it in the Sagan, Mason, and Mason, their history report, which they generate monthly. It's a very difficult report to read, and but there is some positive news from what I've seen so far. There's something like 35 accounts that are part of that report, and they've collected $16,500 to date and closed 3 of those 35 accounts. The remainder are still, warrants have been filed, and a continuance has also been filed, and those cases will come to court in February of next year. So there's some positive news, but at the same time you have to recognize you've spent $13,000 to date on collections. To get 16.5. So it's not a pretty picture, but then you have to factor in the fact that we've stopped them in the process, and until we get some resolve as far as the Bemis case. So I don't know if it's a fair comparison to be made at this point in time.
It's better than we've done before. We paid $3,000.
And we got the trend turned.
Well, at least we're making some progress.
And in the past, we spent many times more than we realized in return. So even if it's only a small delta, it's a delta in the right direction this year. I think more power to them.
And it's getting the word out. I would wonder at this point whether the board would like to increase their load from 35 to pick up additional accounts, or do you want to wait till we have a determination of the Bemis case?
I think we're frozen on everything until we have a determination of Bemis.
But they're not necessarily filing judgments, but they are initiating phone calls and taking other actions.
I haven't clarified it.
Steve?
We were collecting $16,000 without any judgments, just by making phone calls and letting them know we're going to. And you're asking us if we would allow them to go after more people without making judgments.
Yeah.
I think we should. I think this is all about getting the word out. I think somebody just said that. I think the election got the word out. You've done a great job in the newsletter, Wayne. We've got to keep the pressure on.
Well,
Don't some of the sections allow for collective use? Excuse me.
yes, they do.
And if those are written, or some of the past year ones, can't we go ahead with those?
The problem there is that even though you do have justification to assess and as provided in those particular deeds, if they contest it for whatever reason, it's being contested in the lower court. So you're right back to the problem again, even though that you have justification for the assessment.
I just wonder how many times we're going to have to go to court over the same thing, you know?
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yes, Ted.
By our next board meeting, we will have been through the next piece of this case, and we may have a full resolution to go ahead. It is the month of December. How much more they get? I mean, how many do you add? 10? Do you add 20? Or do you wait 30 days and keep? I don't. If we thought we could accomplish something, maybe we should. I mean, how many would? How do you add them, Ray? I mean, they pick another 20 or something?
They would make the selection based on the optimum return, what they perceive as the optimum return.
Your comments good, Steve. Keep up pressure.
Yeah, I don't see a real downside to it. I mean, if someone were to contest it, we could always cease and desist and just start pushing it from our side. So I don't see a real downside. I know that the last time we talked to Donna Mason, their plate was getting very full. And I'd like to get ourself in the queue. If she's overburdened with foreclosures and everything else, it may be a while before she can get to our stuff anyway. So I'd like to get as much of our stuff down there in her queue as we possibly could, rather than wait for some indeterminate time for settlement of this lawsuit.
And her caseload, you're quite right, is getting greater and greater every month.
That's right. And it's going to continue. You know, the handwriting is on the wall with these foreclosures and everything else. So I think we ought to get in the queue to the extent we possibly can with as much as we can get her to pick up.
Also, the message it sends her to the business. It sends her a message that we approve of what she's done. We paid you for it, we thank you, we appreciate it, now do some more. I think it's a good time to send her a message too.
How would we determine,
General consensus, we're not gonna take an action item in this tab. But as a general consensus, we should keep the pressure on, short of any court action. That's a hard line in the sand, at this time, at least for another month. All right, Ray, why don't you go ahead and take the next step with a few more names. But be sure Donna understands, short of any court action. Okay.